You got time?
Sure.
Okay. Hi, Lawrence McKendall, and this is Scooberlicious Ultimate. We're going to continue this. I'm with Rocky Beach, and when we laid off and the microphone is on, we talked about, where was the 1 year and a little longer for Ultimate Impact. And you mind waxing poetic again about the vision of that? That'd be fantastic. Please.
Yeah, so we officially launched Ultimate Impact January of last year.
Yep.
And so we started out in San Francisco. It made sense because I live in San Francisco, and there are a lot of great kids that can benefit from our program.
Yep.
There's I've been working a lot in the Bayview. There's another 8 to 10 schools that we could serve just in the Bayview and Visitation Valley
That's
area.
cool. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, and so when we decided to launch the program, I really wanted to launch it in a way to where we can do as much testing and we can learn as much as possible. And what having it in one tight location enables us to do is really build the program model, really make sure that we have the curriculum down pat before we decided to scale elsewhere.
That's very startup-esque.
Yeah.
You got your reference clients right there. Economy of movement. Very good.
Yeah. No, it's been really great thus far. I see good things ahead. I feel like we do a good job as an organization, both fundraising, gaining resources, and continue to refine the program model and really get the families and kids that have currently been playing involved as much as possible in helping build the organization. And I feel like we're on the right track.
So you mentioned that, your approach, you have people that invested that there's a sexiness of expanding quickly, replicating. What was the word that we used?
So bring it to scale.
Yes, exactly, to scale. That's very, very, very startup-esque. And but you have got a different sensibility about the approach of that.
Well, I think living in the Bay Area, and I worked for a nonprofit that talked about scale all the time. It's like large scale. We got to build the scale. And I think oftentimes I think it's really important to realize that we're dealing with people's lives here, and to change someone's life or have an effect in their life, a positive effect in their life, takes time.
Yep.
And we could just go in and drop discs somewhere, and I could go in and do a day training. But is that really going to get a kid who doesn't know anything about Ultimate?
Right.
Is that really going to get their parent involved? If we really want to affect the communities we're in and be part of the community, then we have to spend the time to do it. And that's like, how do you determine scale in someone's life?
Right.
And I do want to grow the program, but I want to grow it in a sustainable and responsible way.
I'm sure, and to your point, I'm sure that there's a number of programs that come into like a Bayview, Hunters Point, and big promises, and then they disappear. Mm-hmm. And when you are doing something on the ground floor within the community, you build trust. You see people that you're putting your money where your mouth is. You are doing as you do.
Well, as I mentioned earlier, when I was doing it as a volunteer, before I decided to launch the program, I'd always wondered, as an outsider to the community, as a white male in a predominantly black community, why do I feel that I'm part of the community? Why do I feel that I'm part of the family, even more important? And I went out for beers with the program manager at the location I mentioned at Gilman Playground, and I asked him the specific question before I launched Ultimate Impact, like, what am I doing different? And he said, which to me, I'll remember the rest of my life, he said, there's been, as you said, so much money and so many resources, well-intentioned, money that's come into this community, that's come in for a year, and then the people realize how tough it is and how many barriers there are, and then the money leaves.
Right.
And the difference that he thought that I was making is the consistency.
Yep.
Is these kids see I come back, they trust me, the parents trust me, and that's one of the key components of Ultimate Impact, is this idea of mentorship and consistency. I will be back every week to coach their school, rain or shine. If we don't coach, I'll be around to help with homework. I'll be around to
really
throw the frisbee in the gym. So
great.
The kids, they get to know Frisbee Friday Frisbee, Rocky's coming, and so it's pretty cool to see that become a part of the kids' lives.
So I'm glad you got to that. I'm glad you mentioned, because that really is, and this is one of those, I'm driving home going, I wish I had hammered that home, and I think that's a testament to the program, and you have that view as opposed to, oh, you realize consistency needs to be part of that equation, and you're aware of that, because I'm sure you've heard that probably from parents. You heard that from the program director, that you're going to get that pushback. We get it all the time. Big, grandiose promises, and then they go away. So,
I think that
go ahead.
We're about to run out of battery.
Oh, yes.
So,
we're going to continue with this man eventually, but please, go ahead.
Yeah, no, we'll have a follow-up
This
conversation.
is good.
How about we
Absolutely.
do a follow-up conversation a number of months and see where we are?
Well, I'd like to probably do it, Ken, if we do, hopefully maybe I can go and do it on a Friday.
Yeah, we can do
We
it
can
at some
talk
point.
to the kids and do this, but we're not done yet. We may go black, but I want to continue.
What, for me, going back to your question of the idea of consistency, I look back at what points in my life, why am I connected to certain things? Why am I connected to sports? Why am I involved in the things I'm involved in? And I look back at those teachers, my parents, or a coach at some point that got me excited and got me to come back to practice and got me to work hard. And it's usually an individual that's played that powerful mentorship role for us. And a lot of these times, these kids that we're working with don't have that consistent adult in their life. So that's one thing. And I think just the success thus far, it's been hard work. A lot of the same skills that I use on the field, an ultimate field, of just determination, have come into play, and making sure this works.
So just to say that when you hear about the program and what's going on, there's a sexiness to this, that he's out there doing it, but below the waterline, there's a lot of work.
Yeah.
I mean, there's getting dirt under your nails, and it's hard work.
Yep. Without a doubt.
Yeah, no, exactly. So we're going to push on to some other topics before we go out, and if I apologize to go out, that's not the intention, but I want to hear what this guy has to say. So let's talk about, there's a number of things going on. We talked about Pro, we talked about USAU. I
you
just
want
want
to talk about the Olympics, I think. We did.
Yeah, let's
touch
talk.
on that.
So I like the Olympics because it's a platform that exposes the sport. I mean, what's your take?
For me, if we can separate, which it's hard, but the I'd say the influx of money in advertising in the Olympics, and just look at it from a pure sport standpoint, it's one of the highest levels, or if not the highest, other than pro, and it's something for kids to aspire to. It's the awareness. If you can shoot for that from a young age, you have goals, and if you can see it, you can be it, and that's why I'm excited about it.
Jen Pashley, exactly.
Yeah.
So, talk to me more about that. So, but I hear there's a but coming.
Yeah, no, there's no but.
I'm waiting for like a but. Okay.
No, I think that my only, I'd say, hope is if ultimately becomes part of the Olympics, it's represented in the way we think it's supposed to be represented. Like, for example, I think the sport works the best on beach 5 against 5. I don't want to see us make a compromise because we think it's good for sponsorship. I don't want us to compromise the sport itself and the strategy and the fun behind it for another, what we perceive as a greater power. And I love the idea of the sport going into the Olympics as co-ed. To me, that is a great representation of the sport, and it makes it really unique. While I played open for most of my career, I also played co-ed for a lot of my career, and so I think that's really important to me.
I love playing mixed. Absolutely, I appreciate that, and I think someone was talking about the amount of there's a smaller footprint 5-on-5. There's a smaller footprint if it's mixed. There's a smaller footprint if it's beached. So there's a number of things that make ultimate more attractive from the sport if you're able to put those parameters in. And I figure it'll be in LA that they introduce versus London, or excuse me, France. So we'll see, or Paris. So we'll see how that plays out.
I just like to be able to tell my kids they're going to be possibly in the Olympics someday.
I think that's really cool. I mean, people sort of scoff at this, like, you play ultimate, like, oh, man, this is a really freaking exciting sport on so many levels. So let's talk about pro versus open.
Yeah. I
just have to tell you, he's able to go with that.
As we talked about this earlier, I think the sport's going to change. I also mentioned earlier that I'm fine with the change. It's easier because I'm not playing it anymore, but now I'm a little bit more invested because I want my kids to grow, and the kids of Ultimate Impact, not my own personal kids because I don't have any personal, but I want the kids of Ultimate Impact to have something to grow into, and I want to be able to explain to them the differences. Right now, I haven't really broached that subject. One, they're a little too young to even think about that yet, but for me, I want to see this